welcome back to the Care and Conversation studio, live from the Care Show at the NEC in Birmingham. We're here with Adam. Adam, hello.
Hiya. Thanks to having me on, York. Nice to see you again.
You're welcome. Nice to see you too. We've not got you for long, so we'll crack in straight away.
Appreciate that.
No introductions needed, but CEO of a small care home group.
That's correct. Yeah. We focus on long-term care in residential services, and also do a bit of dom care and some other bits and bobs around the outside, but very focused on the journey of care. Really, that's the key thing for me.
Perfect. Right. Let's talk a bit about funding care.
Oh, okay.
What's the crack at the moment? Are you seeing a rise in self-funding? Are you getting better rates from the local authority? What's your thoughts?
It's certainly the latter. I think there's a lot of work being done to get a better understanding of how the funding streams work, and I think there was, we as a business took the opportunity to look at care funding differently, because we knew that we weren't in the private pay space. There's a lot of people doing that, and a lot of the nice spangly new care homes where people want to be, and that's not really our model. So we focused a lot on sort of higher acuity, working with the NHS, working with local authorities, and it's really helped, and we've seen funding move in the right direction. One of the key parts I think that's lacking is how we as a sector help people understand funding and how we can advise people on understanding what options are available in terms of funding, and how that then can engage with the needs of the individuals and where they're best placed. And I think we lack as a sector on advertising that in the right way. We need to help and educate people on making the right decisions where care funding is concerned, because otherwise it just comes as a bit of a shock and a crisis decision and nobody really knows what to do. So we certainly think that we've found some advantages in doing that, and funding has got better as long as you're working with the right funding streams. Yeah,
and I guess that often the first place people go is the local authority's website, and it's probably not the best place to start, I'd imagine, for finding out money, what you can get access to.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, we took the decision as an organisation. I mean, kudos to Lottie, because it was kind of based on some things that they do as well. It's just around like advising people. We heavily focus our sort of digital presence on how can we advise people to help them with their support journey. Give them those sort of like sweet spots and pointers into this is what you're going to experience. How can we educate? How can we support? Because we believe in home first, even though sort of 95% of our admissions are care homes. I believe that people should be at home for as long as possible. And they don't necessarily know that's the message that's sent to everyone. They think, oh, right, so-and-so within the family's got an issue. We need to put them in a care home. Well, do you? And I think, we're moving very much towards care homes being more higher acuity, private hospitals, discharge, getting people out of hospital, which is the wrong place for them to be, and using care services in the right way. And I think that comes with education, and we just don't have enough of that, and that links to funding.
I guess often what happens is that care isn't engaged with at all until the point the person needs it desperately. So then they have to go to a higher acuity setting. I remember someone who said to me recently, a care home now is like an ICU unit was in the 80s. So it's quite high acuity.
That's exactly where we've kind of pitched ourselves. But more conversations like these need to be out to the general public to understand, because most people don't know until somebody has a fall or is in hospital, and then they realise, whoa, what am I dealing with? That's why I think that education piece is so important, and it helps the funding become more palatable, because when people start talking about £1,200, £1,300, £1,400 a week, it's scary.
Yeah.
But when you go, that's what I'm getting, and I know that they need it now, I think it makes those conversations easier and less in crisis.
Yeah.
So it needs to be so much more done around that.
There was a post in a local Facebook group, and someone had posted £2,000 a week for care, and it just caused this huge kind of thing. And actually, it was quite a lot of people in there advocating and kind of saying, well, what's the context? What type of care is it? Have you considered how much they spent building the building? If you look at that, that's £11.90 an hour for 24-hour care. That includes food and heating and all these bits and pieces. I think the headline number sounds bad, doesn't it?
It does, but a good example is, I always use this with the teams, is when they worry about quoting prices, is if you look at BDO Stoy Hayward's recent report on the hotel and hospitality sector, the average cost of a hotel without bed and breakfast, just a room only, the average price for a hotel in the UK is £117 a night.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a BDO Stoy Hayward report. So if you put that times that by 7, you're already nearly £900.
Yeah.
And that's no care, no food, no support, no care wrap. So you start looking at it in context. Obviously, people don't normally stay in a hotel for 7 days a week, but if you just look at that as a clear metric of cost, well, there's something that's got to sit behind that.
Yeah.
I just don't think as a sector we're very good at telling people.
I was talking to someone from Virgin Money earlier who was saying that I think maybe 15, 20 years ago, a per bed care home, 80 grand per bed. Now it's 160 grand per bed in terms of that build cost. It's
if not 200.
Yeah.
You're seeing some of the big sort of, luxury outfits. They're up at that sort of 200k mark. Yeah, absolutely. Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Which is why we need to focus more on the existing stock. That's really where our, as a business, as Belmont Healthcare has always been, is how can we utilise existing care businesses that have maybe not had the investment, or maybe not thought about how can we rework the layout, how can we look at the gardens to add more space, and there's a lot of stuff out there that you can really regen and bring it back to market, and that's worked really well for us.
So as a kind of business leader, I'm sure you're not going to wait for someone to answer the question for you. What are you doing? How are you helping people understand this better then?
We've just tried to change our approach in terms of how we outwardly show ourselves as an organisation. Working a lot with the community, doing a lot more engagement programmes, and this, like I said, education piece. Everything that we do is around trying to guide people to make the right decisions, rather than going, here's a picture of a bedroom, here's a flower on a bedside table, here's how much it costs a week. It doesn't really matter. We want, we use our sort of website presence to be, this is what we do, and then we guide people to social media to say, if one of your family members was in a service with us, this is the type of thing that they will be doing, being out in the community, doing things they love doing, gardening, being involved in activities, going to the local shops, trying to encouraging, regardless of their ailment, of much of those things as possible. We recently refurbed one of our sort of palliative units whereby we can get beds outside. So people can go outside in the summers even though if they're bedridden. Stop restricting, putting wider doors in, and putting ramps into the back gardens to enable some better movement. And I think, but we don't tell anybody that's what you get. You just hear care home, same old, same old. So I think we're a problem to ourselves that we don't advertise that enough.
I guess ultimately it's people just don't think about this stuff until they get there. And then when they get there, they're stressed and angry and upset. So, it's
very anxious.
The more we can do as a sector to, when people do approach it, to say, look, this is how this all works. I think there's just a general misunderstanding in the sector that we think people understand it, but they really don't.
No, nobody does.
I mean, even people work in it, right? It's
that's why we go to events like this, to try and share that stuff and see what each person's doing. And I think they're great opportunities for us all to do that.
Any top tips then for people, something they can do, enact to help them with helping people understand the funding?
Well, I just think it is community engagement. Okay, so if you look at a lot of the sector leaders who talk about how they market themselves, it's a waste of time spending loads of money online. You need to be in the local community. You need to treat your staff well. You need to have good programs of well-being, because all of that is what's shared in a community. We all know that most people who join a service are within 6 to 10 miles, whether it's care home or dom care service. So how are they going to find you? Well, how can you be an advocate of that? Local community, your own staff, they're going to talk about you in the curry house, in Sainsbury's, walking down the high street. Oh, so-and-so, I work here. Make them proud of those environments so that they will share that in the local community. And you find that, I think we're probably 85% is word of mouth still, despite everything that you spend. It's all on that. So the more that you can showcase what you're doing, and I don't feel like we do enough of it. We do stuff like this. Loads of people talking great stories, but those decision makers aren't here. One of the things I found really interesting was around LinkedIn recently, because you're finding that a lot of your advocates and people who are essentially paying the bill, or at least supporting the decision making for somebody who's in care, are business professionals, and they want to know what your fundamentals of an organisation is like. They want to know, well, what are you doing? So they're actually finding out about me and about our business and about how we trade and about how we support and how we invest, because actually that's helping their decision making. I think sometimes that's a bit lost as well, because you forget that a CFO of a big organisation might be funding their parents in care, and they're gonna be in a platform like that and go, I wonder what Adam does. I wonder, is he present? Does he go in?
I'm going to check him out, and see.
That's it. I think we found that.
And the care seekers now are not 70 to 80; they're 40 to 60 to 70, right?
100%.
So I've got friends now that are looking for care for their parents, right?
That's it.
It's
the same,
it's coming.
same boat. You know, the sweet spot is that 35 to 65. That's the people that are who are actively actually making the decision.
Yeah. Digitally native, understand, connected
Correct.
to the community. They will want to know whether
100%.
you're legit. You know.
Yeah, that's it.
Or if you're weird like me, I might look you up on Company's House.
Yeah, I do that as well. It's naughty, isn't it? You know, that you end up doing these things, but you end up having to do it to try and build understand what people are doing.
Yeah.
It's not a nosy thing. It's just I think it's the right way to go.
I think, talking to, say, like Debbie from Autumna about OpenScore and
That's brilliant. It's so cool.
Ultimately, one review is no longer useful because we know how easy they are to manipulate. So actually what I want to see is all of these data points, and if you can bring that together in a way which means that if I want to look at the detail, I can dig into it, but actually lots of people don't necessarily want to look at the detail. They want a system they can trust. So, it's key. Lovely. Well, thank you.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on and set my position. It's great to see you and another great event. Brilliant.
Thank you very much. Right, we'll see you soon. I will be back shortly.